This is episode 23 of Standing Out. Standing Out is a remarkable interview-style podcast with the intention to highlight women and men making outstanding contributions in their field. This podcast is generously sponsored by Think Global. Think Global is a business advisory firm working with women entrepreneurs around the globe to scale their businesses to the next level. Today, I'd like to welcome Clarissa Rios. Clarissa is a Peruvian scientist educated in 3 continents with more than 10 years of experience in conducting and planning multilateral scientific projects. Also, she has a big passion for social development through education. Hence, she is the founder and director of and you'll have to help me, Clarissa. How do you pronounce it?
Ekpapalek.
Thank you.
Ekpapalek.
That's so beautiful. And Ekpapalek seeks to promote opportunities for professional development for Latin American students. In addition, she's also an advocate for women empowerment as a recently selected global champion for economic empowerment by Empower Women, UN Women, and has recently developed a project to empower women in Latin America. Clarissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Katrina, for inviting me.
Oh, of course. I'm excited to get to know you. And I am so interested to know how you became a scientist. Like, what got you involved and where did your passion stem from?
So at home, my mom is a biologist and she always had books about embryology. So I was looking at them and I was fascinated about how from one cell, we create a whole human being, a whole cow, a whole horse, etc. So so that's how everything started, and I decided to be a biologist, although my parents preferred that I will become a medical doctor. But at the end, they support me. But yeah, that's how I went to study at the capital in Lima, in Peru.
Interesting. And so as a biologist, what did you plan to do after your studies?
Well, that's interesting because I've been studying since 2002. In Peru, the bachelors are 5 years, and then I moved to Finland for an exchange. Then I went to Sweden, and then Germany, now in Australia. So that has been a very, very long time studying.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I just finished my PhD in November, and the interesting thing is that now that I have been doing all these projects about empowering women and empowering Latin students, I'm still deciding if I will go for the academic life and continue with my studies and work, or if I will switch into social and economic development of developing countries. So I'm still trying to decide.
You know what? That is so interesting, and I can absolutely relate to that. I have a master's degree in sociology. And the fact that I'm a woman entrepreneur was something that was never on my radar. I thought for sure I would be a college professor. But I think it's such an interesting place and such an interesting time that it's hard to not be kind of pulled into it a little bit, So I love that. How did you choose? So the country, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I wanted to say that it's true what you said. I mean, we change, but also the world is changing so fast. And for example, all these startups and the movement that is now global, that you can connect with people through internet, like we are doing now, it really allows you to connect with more people, to fusion different projects. So, I mean, all these things that are changing also make you think that you should change, right?
Well, right. And I think you're right, because we are moving so fast and because we don't have the traditional boundaries where we can just hop on and talk to each other and get to know each other and learn about what's going on in the other person's life. I do think that is really supporting and playing into this massive startup phase of we're not looking at it from the old model. Like there's this new model of connectivity and this extremely fast pace. So when you chose to study in Sweden, Finland, and Germany, and now Australia, how did you choose those countries? Was it based on universities there or programs, or what was the draw?
So the first time I went out of Peru was to Finland, and it was because I applied to a scholarship that my university was offering. So I got it, and it was funny because everyone was asking me, so you're going to Philippines or you're going to Philadelphia? And I'm like, no, I'm going to Finland. And for me, it was also like a strange country because I've never heard of the Scandinavian countries. So I went there, but I'm glad because Finland has a amazing social system, gender equality is super high. So it was a really great experience to be there. So that's how I arrived to Finland. Then I moved to Sweden because I really wanted to study biomedicine at Karolinska Institute, which is the university who grants the Nobel Prize for medicine and physiology. So it was like my dream at that time to go there. So I did a master there. And then when in my career in biology, you really need to do a PhD. Mm-hmm. So I decided to really take a year to think about where I want to do the PhD, something that I really like. So that's why I ended up in Germany working for a pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
In Germany, I found this laboratory in Australia that was exactly what I wanted. So I applied and then I got another scholarship and I could move here.
I love that you've applied for so many scholarships and were granted them. And it has really sort of started this career for you and brought you all over the world to study what you love. I think if there's any advice to give to anyone, it's go for it. Like, look at you. You apply there and there you have it.
Yeah, and you have to be persistent because, I mean, I'm just telling the summarized part, but I have applied to so many things. And still now, in order to make my project grow as well, I send like hundreds of emails and applications all the time. So that's the only way.
Yeah, and I make it sound so easy. You apply and there you have it, but it's really a whole lot of hard work behind the scenes. I was taking a walk the other morning and I was walking around this lake in our town and I saw these little ducks swimming, like mallard ducks, early in the morning. And I don't know what it was, and I think I've heard this at some point earlier in my life, but I really noticed how the ducks on top of the water, they look so calm and everything is easy, but just the way the sun was shining, you could see their little feet like paddling so fast. And up top, they're just like, hey, I'm cool, it's calm. And I think that is such a metaphor or something, or a metaphor for entrepreneurship and what so many of us are trying to do is we don't see that behind the scenes of paddle, paddle, paddle. We just see we're good,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm meeting a lot of entrepreneurs now, and they all have such a busy lives and really trying to make their time schedules really fit, and it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Yeah. Well, tell us about your new project with women empowerment.
Yeah, so last year I joined the platform Empower Women, and it's a part of United Nations Women. They give a lot of resources. They offer webinars for women empowerment for men and females. And I joined the program and I decided to do a project in Peru that later I want to expand to the whole Latin America. And the project, it's about changing women's current role models. So the problem in Peru is that, especially in poor areas, that the role for women is just one, which is to be a mother and a housewife, which is totally fine. Yeah. But what is not fine is that should be your only role. You can do many things, and you at least should have the opportunity to see what you could become. So with a group of 5 professional women, we are going to schools, to secondary schools, and then each of them presents their academic journey. So they tell about how they started, the obstacles they found, the triumphs as well. And then I do a talk about women empowerment, and I also invite them to form a women collective where they can gather, they can talk about issues from, for example, my boyfriend doesn't want me to use this, to wear this short skirt, to things more important, to question for example, why in Peru maternity leave is just 3 months, like this kind of things. And then we also have workshops, and we have one workshop that is trying to ignite their entrepreneur mind so they could be more independent. And that workshop is about making business with ornamental plants. Mm-hmm. The other workshop, it's about sexual health and, STDs and teenage pregnancy, but also we talk about sexual aggressions, which is a very huge issue in Latin America. This is going to sound strong, but many of my close friends of mine have suffered at different level of sexual aggression, from going that someone was touched in the bus when she was sleeping, up to she was, almost raped. So, and the problem is that we don't denounce them. We don't say anything when that happens. We feel ashamed. We feel, fear. So we talk about these things as well. And that's what we are doing with the Women Project. And we are also extending it. So we want to also arrive to very far areas where you can not usually go in Peru. So for that, just this week, I launched the program, the article club, because it's not a book club. So with the article club, we give the people that is interested articles from our blog that talk about women empowerment, and then they go and they read them to these 10 people, 20 people that they meet in these remote communities for 10 minutes, and then they have 20 minutes to discuss it. So it's just a way to initiate conversation and to see what are the problems in that community, and to make them try to fix them or to find a solution together.
Right. So that's really interesting. So that group of women, I think you said 5 women are in this, are leaders of this program with you. How did those 5 women come together?
So they are, some of them are friends of mine, and the other ones contacted me because I posted on Facebook and I say, like, I'm trying to make this project, and whoever is interested, please contact me and we can talk further. So that's what happened. So one of them is my mom, which she teaches at university, and she has all this experience with plants and making business with plants. The other one is Egma. She's a medical doctor. She's a high school friend of mine. Then Mariela, she contacted me through the other project that I have to empower Latin students, which is Ekpapalek. So we connected through there, and then she saw the post, and then she said like, hey, I want to help with women empowerment. And it was the same for Blanca. She's I don't know how to translate in English, aquicola engineer, but well, I don't know how to translate it in English, but it's a new type of career. Yes, and the 5th one will be me. That I'm trying to direct everything through online, because I, of course, set in Australia. So they are the real stars of the projects, because they are the ones who are going to go to schools. They have been doing the contact with the schools. We have been planning together the presentations and what we will talk about. So it's really nice. And yeah.
I mean, obviously you knew some of those women, but I love the simple power of, hey, I'm just going to post it on Facebook and see who replies, who's interested. Like, there is, I think, so often as women entrepreneurs, and maybe just women in general, I'm not sure, I guess I should speak for myself, but there's always that ego piece of me that feels like, oh no, I shouldn't put it out there yet. It's not ready. Or if I put it out there, no one's going to reply, or, whatever the little voice in your head that kind of shakes your confidence and stalls you a little bit. So I'm glad that you were so brave and you put it out there, and it sounds like you've attracted some amazing women to lead the program.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you said that, because I had that thought for many years.
Yeah, I think
like, no one is going to help me. Yeah, I cannot do it by myself and blah, blah. But one day I just said, I was with my boyfriend in here, and I told him, you know what? I'm just going to say it, put it out there. And I said that I'm going to initiate this project, and I'm going to do this, and whatever happens, happens, And it has worked very well. So I think the most difficult part is to give that first step. If that costs you 100, the next step will cost you 98, and and the next one will be 95. So I think people should just go for it.
Yeah, you have to make that step. Like, that's how you move forward. If we allow that voice to stop us, then we're not only are we stopping our own dream and vision, but we're also slowing the progress for anyone that we're working to help or empower or allow to be educated, or whatever the mission is. We're kind of putting a stop to that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Well, okay. So as we kind of wrap this up, the last question I have is, what sort of trend or hot topic is on your radar that you think we'll all be talking about in a year from now?
That I'll be talking about in a year from now.
Yeah. So something that just, as an insider to what you do as a scientist or someone who empowers women, What are you really focusing on now that maybe us as the general public haven't really paid attention to just yet?
I think Latin America has a very huge potential in terms of academic professionals, and I think that it's time for Latin American students or Latin American people to be known not just because they are happy people or they party so much or they have good food. I think it's time for the world to know that they are really creative, they are innovative, that they have the potential to lead, they have the potential to make connections and to make projects. And that's what I'm looking for with the big project, which is Ekpapalek. And what we are doing is offering free programs for Latin American students to promote their professional development. So I'm not the only one. I've met many groups that are working with more focus on science.
Okay.
So Latin Americans in science. Mm-hmm. So they are also trying to promote internships, or promoting women in scientists in Latin America, and I think that's great, and that's on the roll. And I think that in 1 year or less, I mean, we're going to be hearing more about these projects and about the American world making a change.
Right. I think I would totally agree with you, and I know in the U.S. we're seeing more and more of that right now. Just our population is changing, and I think I don't know the exact stat, but it's something, I believe by the year 2040 or 2050, half of our population will be a Latino population. And so there is so much discussion around that at this moment. And I can definitely see that being a global conversation too.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that people should also stop looking at the differences and start looking of what is that people bringing to our community, right? Like, look the positives and try to enhance them, learn them, and exchange them. That's the only way that as a country, as the world, we can go forward. Otherwise, it's just a vicious circle that we're always seeing.
Yeah, I totally agree on that, and that is a perfect way to wrap up. So Clarissa, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Katrina.
You're welcome.